46-year-old Amanda grew up in Huddersfield in an ordinary 3-bed house in the middle of the town. At 6'2", Amanda was encouraged to follow her mum's career into modelling. But after reading a book about shepherding, Amanda found herself drawn to the countryside and decided to leave Huddersfield to labour on farms. It wasn't until she met Clive, a 42-year-old shepherd single-handedly running a 2,000-acre hill farm with over 1,000 sheep, that she found her true calling. Despite the 20-year age gap, 21-year-old Amanda fell in love with Clive and Ravenseat Farm. The couple married in 2000 and lived in Ravenseat's traditional stone cottage, where Clive had been a tenant since 1989. When I last visited, the 3-bedroom home was taken up by the 8 Owen children, which meant I was bunking elsewhere.
Edith, is this where I'm staying?
Yeah.
My own shepherd's hut?
Uh-huh.
I think this might be the best place I've ever slept.
You can just take your wellies off
This is... Oh, should I take the wellies off? That's a good idea.
You see you at tea.
OK. Bye, Edith.
Bye.
Luckily, it wasn't long until I was treated to some home-cooked dinner.
Amanda, what have we got today?
Come on, you've got to guess. Shepherd's pie.
My favourite.
Predictably. So,
Is this your specialty dish, would you say?
Clive will say it has special meaning. Well, go on, tell him what we thought of my shepherd's pie, the truth.
Well, yeah, she's better at it now than she was.
So, Clive, how did you guys actually first meet?
A friend of mine always borrowed a ram, and Amanda was working for him, and she was sent for this ram. So one bleak November night, there was a knock on that door, and in she came. She banged her head as she came in, and I thought...
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I did. Did you? Is that what you really thought?
I mean, yeah, there's loads of ladies like you come in this town. No, it was quite an event.
Do you think back to that time when you knocked on the door here to pick up that ram and look around you and just think that single knock on the door resulted in this?
I know. I think probably Clive maybe thinks that ever so slightly more.
I've returned to the Yorkshire Dales to catch up with my old friends, the Owen family, who, since I last visited, have added little Nancy to their ranks. And like last time, the place is full of life and amusing tales.
This must be a fun place to be every day.
Yeah.
What's your favourite thing to do here?
Tony and little Joe.
Who is Tony?
The pony.
Tony the pony?
Yeah.
We bought him at Appleby Horse Fair.
And
That's when we put him in the back of the car.
So you bought a horse and you brought him back in the back of the car.
Tony's about 9 and Joe's about 14 by now.
The Owens charmed me from the moment I met them 5 years ago. And while at times the place seemed like a slightly chaotic playground, it was also a working farm. Clive and Amanda had over 1,000 sheep to tend to, and despite my lack of experience, I was roped in to help herd them down from the fields.
Howie, 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 Howie!
Across this rough, uneven terrain, herding was done the traditional way, with stick and dog.
I take my hat off to you both. Amazing. I mean, what a beautiful landscape to work, but it's hard.
It is hard, but
Yeah, we sleep at night, you know.
yeah, but it's rewarding. That's what I always dreamed of being. Anyway, standing on the rock, yelling at the dog.
I could sense the pride Amanda had in her flock. Both her and Clive had strived to make this life work, but in 2001 they faced their biggest challenge when an outbreak of foot and mouth threatened their entire livelihood.
How did it affect you?
I think at that point, it would be the time when we felt the most isolated and the most remote. And to look out the bedroom window and to see the Cumbrian sheep being gathered in and taken away to be slaughtered, and realising that we were just that one step away from losing everything, just horrendous. We lost a third of our flock because we send sheep away during the winter to kinder climes. So all the sheep that we sent away, they never came back. And people would say, well, you know, you can replace the sheep, just buy some more, but it doesn't work like that around here. The sheep have always been here. If we leave, the sheep stay. So it's the whole pedigree, it's the hoofing system, how they have the homing instinct to stay on their patch. Would have been a disaster. Even now, it brings a lump to my throat thinking about it. It was terrible.
It still haunts you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was terrible. It really was. It was, yeah. Even you see, when I came here to live, I brought with me 1 turnover crate, 2 sheepdogs, and a handful of very petted sheep. And of course, they were there as well, so lost them.
That was your life, your livelihood, everything you aspired to.
Absolutely. And I mean, people will say, well, you can't know each one of these sheep on an individual basis, because you can't. We have a lot of them. But it doesn't mean that you don't have that same affection for them, because if you weren't bothered about them, then you couldn't do this job, basically, you know? You're always striving to do your best. So, sorry about that.
Don't be silly.
Huh?
It's still really raw. You know, the fact it can still bring tears to her eyes is testament to how it destroyed so many lives. A lot of us just think, yeah, just replace the sheep. It's fine. Just bring some new ones in. But it's not as simple as that. And, that goes beyond my own comprehension. Those flocks, those herds, couldn't just be replaced. They'd been built up over centuries. Clemmy, what have you got in your hand?
The hoof pick.
What do you do with that?
We get his foot, lift it up, put on our knee, so we can hold the leg up, and we take all the mud out with this, and then we brush it after with this.
Good girl. Can you remember what you call the underneath of his hoof?
Frog.
His frog. Well done.
Amanda, how do you kind of weigh up this motherly instinct to protect and this extraordinary ability you have to let these guys get on with it?
It's about, I suppose, taking a bit of a measured approach and looking at the possibilities. What are the possibilities of whatever they're doing resulting in instant death? And if the chances are that it's all going to go fine and they're going to gain more from the experience than they're going to lose, then let them get on with it. They have to learn from their own mistakes. Clemmy might get her foot trodden on. She might get her bottom bitten. But apart from that, that's as far as it goes. What they're actually getting is valuable life lessons and the ability to be able to do things. And I mean, that is what it's all about.
Do you ever have people who disapprove of your parenting style?
Oh God, yeah.
And how does that make you feel?
Shh, you can't keep everybody happy no matter what you do. That is the absolute truth. But as long as the children are happy and I am convinced of the benefits of whatever it is they're doing and how they're being brought up, then I'm not going to change my ways. And it's not about being a smug parent as well. That's another thing I should add. You know, I'm not a parenting guru. I'm just making it up as I go along.
When I first arrived, you said, and I don't know if you were being serious, the breeding's over.
The breeding season is over. Oh, yes, I know.
Close your ears. But do you think? I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous question in some ways, but I think it would be silly to not ask you when you have so many children and lots of them are starting to leave. Do you think you might ever have more? No, you know what? You're done with brothers and sisters. No more.
I would say that the family is complete now, but there never was a plan. Not really. Mm-hmm. That kind of isn't the way that we operate. Of course, there's roughly a plan of how we'd like things to go, but the best laid plans and all that usually don't come to fruition. So just wait and see, go with the flow. But I am sort of, how old am I? 46? 46. You're shrugging. I think I'm 46. So you know. And I'm a 9 crop in sheep terms.
I love the fact you give yourself was it a 9 crop?
9 crop yow, yeah, if I'm a 9 crop
So if you're
yow.
a sheep, what would happen to you now?
I'd be heading to the auction mart. Wouldn't I? I'd be down the road.